Taking a stand is something we hear about all the time. From anti-bullying campaigns to activists taking a stand against injustices, the world has been shaped and reformed through change. But dreaming is what got us here, and yet dreaming is actively discouraged by our society. From smartphones to indoor plumbing, the world has been created because someone dreamed that we could have better. As a child, we're told the world is your oyster. We wanted to be astronauts. And then as soon as we hit high school, it's, the world is tough, set your sights lower, go for physicist. If you're ever caught telling a small child to, set their sights lower, run, because the pitchforks and torches will be after you soon. But telling a high schooler, it's not really a big deal. What changed? Growing up in my generation, we've been preached, make your dreams come true since we were born. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I fancy myself the Disney fan. But what else was I supposed to grow up thinking? I knew the lyrics to A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes before I knew what any of those words individually meant. Walt Disney had his own fairy tale. He packed up in 1920 and moved to California to start a production company after failures at home. He went through having characters stolen from him, going bankrupt, lacking a consistent audience, etc., and finally had his big break with a character we all know, Mickey Mouse, in 1928. Disney's not alone in his Cinderella story. Everyone has had to start from the bottom. It's this very bottom, however, that keeps the dreamers from following their hearts. Fear of being unsure, being unstable, or of never achieving their goals are things I'm sure that have plagued everyone in this room. Gallup, an American research-based company, and the Estrada Network conducted a study that found that 51% of Americans regret their college education choices. The same study found that 36% of Americans would change their major, 28% would change their school choice, and 12% would change their degree program. Now, this could mean that they got a degree in philosophy, and all they've been able to do with it is say they got a degree in philosophy. But commentary has shown that outside sources have had an influence in their choices. 32% of Americans regret major life choices like profession, college choice, or employer. This isn't all of America's regret. This is just statistics. Starting a business, making more out of life than they have, traveling the world, etc., things that plague many adults of the world. Shouldn't a person try to avoid this as much as possible? But this isn't a talk about regret. So how does this circle back to dreaming? Dreaming isn't a demand, it's a question. It's a question of your own strength, it's a question of what you can control, and a question of what makes sense to you. Think back to the first person to cook an egg or to ride a horse. That didn't make sense, but it's been done. I have literal diagnosed anxiety, and here I am making a speech. It doesn't make sense, but here we are. Exactly. But here we are. So why do we actively encourage dreaming big? Nothing has ever really been accomplished by someone who has thought inside the box. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." So might I be the one to force some Disney fluff on you today? In quoting Cinderella, they can't order me to stop dreaming. When we allow small thinking, when we allow pride and fear to intervene with our dreams, we are allowing ourselves to fall short of our potential. Thank you.